When you protect an ancient forest, you're protecting so much more than trees. You're protecting a life in a very deep, sacred way that embodies knowledge that goes far beyond human comprehension. Luna's been here since before white people stepped on this continent. How can we cut something like this down and not think that we're affecting something much deeper than ourselves and our own understanding of the world? I had to give my word to Luna and to the forest, to myself, to the world, that I wouldn't come down on the ground again. I wouldn't walk on the earth again until I'd done everything I possibly could to make the world aware and to bring about some change.
And I think she's been a real rallying point and an inspiration to hundreds of thousands of environmentalists all around the world. Because she won't give up and because she's kept this particular issue in the front page, I think a lot of people have rallied behind the issue that wouldn't have been before if she hadn't made this tree set. It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, if they say we're going to cut all the trees down, how do you stop it? They wouldn't stop it by negotiating, so she put her life on the line. And I don't think that Gandhi or Jesus or any of the other people would sacrifice for their beliefs. Dr. King, you want to call him nuts? I'll get in line with the nuts. Thank you very much.
Living in the tree was pivotal for me because of the literal perspective. And part of that literal perspective was being able to see everything we stand for and everything we struggle against every single day. Because I could see beautiful forests, I could see snow-capped mountains in the distance, I could see the ocean way off and far away. But to see the ocean, I had to look at the Pacific Lumber Maxim Corporation mill that takes these magnificent ancient forests and turns them into burnt, destroyed clear cuts. Miles upon miles of clear cuts, as far as the eye could see. In the 2 years I was up there, more and more happened until I was surrounded by an overwhelming amount of clear cuts. I really, really hope that people can listen and learn from my experience and not have to walk into a clear cut themselves to be motivated to do something about it.
A clear cut is the fastest and cheapest means of harvesting timber. After every tree is taken down, the area is often burned with napalm, sprayed with herbicides, and then replanted. Many scientists believe this practice destroys not only the site being logged, but regions downhill of the area as well. Without the trees to hold the topsoil, large amounts of mud contaminated with chemicals wash into neighboring streams and rivers. Environmentalists charge that since Pacific Lumber was taken over by Charles Hurwitz in 1986, the trees have been clear-cut at an unprecedented rate.
When you go out across the country, they always say, oh yeah, the redwoods, they're protected. And you say, no. And these people are shocked, like, you mean they logged the redwoods?
The hardest part of all, if I had to pick one point, would be when they were cutting all the trees down. I start to cry every single time I talk about it because it was like, it's like sitting there watching your family killed in front of you. And you listen for hours, and you hear this high-pitched screaming, and you feel like it's going right through your body.
And then they stop the chainsaws and they pound this wedge in. Clink, clink, clink. And you can feel it. It's like, ow, ow, ow. And then they give the final clink, and the tree goes, and it screams. And you have to sit there and listen to it scream as it's dying. Every single time a tree went down, part of myself died. Part of myself was ripped out. And it was the hardest thing I think I've ever gone through in my life. Those old growth that were cut down won't come back. If we hadn't protected Luna, this world would never have a Luna. When the elders of our time are gone, the wisdom, the beauty, and the power goes with them. I felt it when I first entered the ancient forest. When I found out that they were being destroyed, I knew that I had to do something to try and protect them.
In the forests of Northern California, a group known as Earth First stages acts of civil disobedience to protest what they believe to be the destructive logging practices of Pacific lumber. A favorite tactic is a tree sit, a round-the-clock vigil in the branches of a tree to prevent it from being cut down. In October of 1997, activists discovered an ancient redwood high atop a steep ridge marked with the blue paint that meant it was scheduled for destruction. This tree, soon to be named Luna, would become Julia's home.
See if it's in one of these. Here it is. This is me before living in a tree.
Julia would be classified as a headstrong person when she was a child. I prefer to use the term willful. If she knew she wanted something, that's what she went for.
I was raised many years traveling in a camping trailer with my father because he was an evangelist. And literally, sometimes every other day, we'd be in a whole new city or a whole new state.
And most of my clothes were hand-me-downs, and our food was what people gave us. And society made me feel ashamed of that. And so that drove me in this direction of working like mad and spending money and saving money. And just my life, my purpose was money. And then the car wreck made me realize, no, there's something more.
The car accident that Julia had was extremely serious.
My head and the steering wheel collided.
When she first called me, she couldn't string all of her sentences together. She was definitely brain damaged.
The first few months of the physical and cognitive therapy, I was so angry and hurt and frustrated. But then over time, the good thing is that it really made me take a second look at my life.
And to think of how articulate she is and focused now, when I compare that to with what I sensed then, there's been tremendous healing.
Unfortunately, as human beings, it often takes a crisis. We sometimes don't learn a lesson the easy way. It takes something knocking us upside the head to learn the true value of life.